Welcome to the African Leadership Series, where we bring you great inspirational speeches of African leaders.
And therefore, when in 1945, Africans were represented in Manchester, Kwame Nkrumah was present at that meeting, Marcus Garvey was present at that meeting, Jomo Kenyatta was present at that meeting, Obafemi Awolowo was present at that meeting. The drive was to decolonize Africa. And one of the things that amazes me is that at that time, these individuals did not have the internet, they did not have WhatsApp, they did not have the kind of communication that we have now. But it is amazing at how they were communicating. Even air transport was not as it is now. I was just recently reading the activities of one of the greatest Africans who, in my view, ever lived and whom many people do not know about. The great Ghanaian James Emmons Kwegyir Aggrey, normally referred to as Aggrey of Africa, and how he traveled from the United States and went to many countries in Africa, traveling by sea and talking about why Africa should be united. And that was Pan-Africanism, the Pan-African spirit at that time. Of course, we then went into the era of decolonization, and the spirit again was one which was consistent. You had people from the Caribbean participating in the struggle in that regard. You have people like W.B. Du Bois saying that Africa must be free. A little later, people like Martin Luther King Jr., and people like Malcolm X, talking of George Padmore, talking about how Africa should be liberated and we should work with people in the diaspora. And then the agitation was there that we must regain our independence. And famously in 1949, Ghana's Kwame Nkrumah is saying, "Seek ye first the political kingdom, and the rest will be given unto you." And I dare say that the rest has never been given to us. And even if it is coming too slowly. But it is instructive that at that time, the spirit was about the continent of Africa. We were conscious, the leaders were conscious that Africa decolonized without unity would remain weak. And of course, Africa is weak. The weakest continent on earth is this continent in which we are, our continent. So the struggle for independence was everywhere across the world, across the continent of Africa. So when on the 6th day of March, Ghana regained her independence as Ghana, it was then Gold Coast. I think the most eloquent and the most passionate warrior for Pan-Africanism was Nkrumah. He said on that day, and again later, that the independence of Ghana means nothing if the rest of Africa is not free. And he meant it, because when Ghana regained independence in 1957, 1 year later, Guinea regained her independence. A year later, the French Sudan, or what we now call Mali, regained her independence. They signed a pact to create what they call the African Union. They thought at that time that that would be Africa in her embryonic days. And they invited Patrice Emery Lumumba in 1961, but of course Emery Lumumba was then assassinated in the month of January 1961. And he warned. This is one of the things that always stands out in my mind. That Nkrumah, of all leaders at that time, was able to see that if we were not united, we would go nowhere. So in 1958, he summons a meeting in Accra, Ghana, of the then independent African countries and tells them, if we don't unite now, the neo-colonialist is going to ensure that we remain disunited and we remain small, and they are going to ensure that the neo-colonial project continues. In 1961, on the first day of January, again in Casablanca, Morocco, he tells his audience, let us unite now, before each one of our leaders begins to get used to power, because power is easy to get used to. You who have been elected will know. Once you become a minister and you become used to people saluting you and opening your doors, if it happens for 1 month, you will find it very difficult if you lose your ministerial position when there is nobody to salute you and to open your doors. That is how attractive power can be. And he warned the people then. But the colonial project was alive and well, because as they were meeting in Casablanca, Morocco, there was another group that was meeting in Monrovia in Liberia. That is how Africa started splitting, creating two groups, the Casablanca group and the Monrovia group. The Casablanca group, which comprised, I think famously, Kwame Nkrumah was there from Ghana, Gamal Abdel Nasser was there from Egypt, Ahmed Ben Bella was there from Algeria, Modibo Keita was there from Mali. They took the view, unite now. The Monrovia group, comprised of William Tubman at that time. Emperor Haile Selassie was also in the Monrovia group. Mwalimu Kambarage Nyerere was in the Monrovia group. They took the view, we want to unite, but gradually. Let it be gradual. So that when Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia convenes a meeting in Addis Ababa on the 23rd through to the 25th day of May 1963, there are two groups already. The Pan-African agenda is already being watered down. There is the Casablanca group and there is the Monrovia group. And the creation of the OAU was a victory for the Monrovia group. And I want you to, there were 32 heads of states and government who met in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia on the 23rd through to the 25th day of May, the year 1963. And I want you to listen to all of those speeches, or the compilation of them. There is a compilation of them that was made in the year 2013 when we were celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Organization of African Unity. And listen to all the speeches, and I pick out a speech from the leader of Central African Republic, David Dacko. David says, Central African Republic is so small that if we are not a part of an African Union, the French will come again. And they have come again. Mwalimu Nyerere of Tanzania says, we are not here in order to remind ourselves of how important unity is. We are here to talk about the unity of Africa. The host, Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, says, it is important for us to realize that we must make sacrifice for the future, because a disunited Africa will never realize our potential. But the most passionate speech again was that of Kwame Nkrumah. He tells them, let us not live here without one government. without one army, without one currency, and without having chosen a capital. And I propose that the capital of the new Africa either be located in Bangui in Central African Republic or Leopoldville, now Kinshasa in the Democratic Republic of Congo. But I'm open to any other suggestion. And let us leave here once we have put together a council of foreign ministers in order to begin to work towards an African Union. That is Kwame Nkrumah. Nobody listened to him. We ended up with the OAU. And the story of the OAU can be told and retold. Some say that it was a toothless bulldog. Others say that it was not even a dog. But whatever it was, it cannot be denied that it made a contribution to the process of decolonization of the continent in many ways, complete with the establishment of the liberation unit of it, which was headquartered in Dar es Salaam in the United Republic of Tanzania, which was spearheaded the decolonization of quite a number of countries at that time. But the point that I'm making is that the Pan-African spirit at that time was about a united Africa. Because you will remember at that time that France never wanted to leave and has never left. It is always instructive that when the French left, they formed an organization called Organization for French-Speaking Countries. The British also created their own Commonwealth of independent nations. But what is instructive is that the Queen is always the head of those independent nations. I've never understood that. Perhaps the presidents do. The Portuguese, of course, you know, never left easily. Until 1980, when I was an adult, they were still fighting in Mozambique, in Cape Verde, in Guinea-Bissau, in Angola, and in Mozambique. The apartheid regime, of course, only left in 1994, and I wonder whether they have left. That is Africa for you. So that the fears of Kwame Nkrumah that if you are not united, we would have problems started haunting us. He said that if we are not united in the Pan-African spirit, what is going to happen is that the imperialist is going to control us. They are going to emphasize our ethnic differences. And they are going to ensure that we begin fighting amongst one another. And as we do so, they are going to exploit us. And they started. In January 1961, they assassinated Patrice Emery Lumumba, and Congo has never been the same again. In 1963, they assassinated Sylvanus Olympio in Togo, and Togo has never been the same again. Then there were coup d'etats. Kwame Nkrumah himself, in 1966, eliminated via coup d'etat all his writings, all his speeches banned, never to be read, never to be listened to until 1972, when Ignatius Kutu Acheampong rehabilitated him. Ahmed Ben Bella in Algeria, gone. In Nigeria, Nnamdi Azikiwe and Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, gone. In Mali, Modibo Keita, gone. In Chad, everywhere, coup d'etats. Here in Ethiopia, 1974, if I'm not wrong, coup d'etat and the emergence of the Deg regime. In East Africa, Uganda, coup d'etat, mutinies in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania in 1971. All orchestrated because we were disunited and we were weak. the predictions of our forefathers and founding mothers that disunited we would remain weak.
If you like more African speeches like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to catch all our latest videos. Remember to leave your suggestions on the topics you would like us to cover in the comments below.